Prime Minister Christie supports the Liberalization Committee as they move forward that special task force in selecting the next competitor in the market. I'm Clint Watson. The stories ahead in the Bahamas tonight.
Coming up, the Bahamas Telecommunications Company launches a new customer-centric campaign. Find out the details straight ahead.
Although we are grieving our losses and are deeply saddened by this tragic event, we have never been, nor will we ever feel, hopeless.
A grieving family tells the nation to stand strong. The Bahamas Tonight, the National Report starts.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
The country's sole cellular service provider will soon have some competition. Good evening, everyone. I'm Keisha Latterly.
And I'm Chris Saunders. Bahamians are anxiously awaiting the arrival of cellular telephone services, and those who are waiting can expect those needs to be met within a year's time. And we will soon know whose BTC competitor will be sometime in April of 2015.
Well, today the Cellular Liberalization Task Force appointed by the government was revealed to members of the press, receiving full endorsement from Prime Minister Perry Christie as it prepares to move into this crucial stage of rendering service to the public.
Clint Watson has that story tonight on how companies can apply, what it will cost them, and the timeline set to achieve liberalization in telecommunication.
Prime Minister Perry Christie says that with the liberalization of the mobile telecommunications sector on the way, customers can expect more affordable and accessible services. It's something the Bahamian public has been demanding. Prime Minister Christie adds there is also a need for improvements in coverage, service, quality, network redundancy, and resilience. The Cellular Liberalization Task Force has been working to design a process and is ready to begin selecting the next carrier.
Not only was the task force charged with establishing criteria that would ensure that the successful candidate would have the technical and financial capability to meet the obligations of the licenses to be awarded, but the process has also been designed to take into account the extent to which the widest base of Bahamians could participate in the ownership of the new provider.
The selection process for the next cellular mobile operator is expected to be an objective two-phase process. Member of the Cellular Liberalization Task Force, Michelle Grill-Barreau.
The first phase would be an assessment that would basically be conducted by the Evaluation Committee. The Evaluation Committee would consider the financial and technical capability of the applicants to provide the services, taking into account the obligations and commitments we have specified in the RFP itself. Once the Evaluation Committee determines which applicants would progress to phase 2, which will be a spectrum auction.
The task force has set a deadline of February 11, 2015 for the submission of responses to the request for proposals. We will know the successful bidder 6 months from now. Once a provider is selected, they will have 6 months of receiving the license to begin rolling out service. They expect all family islands to secure coverage within 2 to 3 years. Now, as to a second competitor, based on the government's earlier agreement in the Communications Act, co-chairman of the task force, Rowena Bethel, pointed out that the timeline of 2016 is not etched in stone.
All of the prevailing factors and circumstances would be brought to bear before a determination of that type would be made. But it's simply that the government has the option in 2016 to consider a third entrant, not that it is going to happen.
Now the website goes live tonight. We can tell you it's www.bahamas.gov.bs/cellular liberalization. There is a $5,000 fee to register, and if you want to submit a proposal, it's $25,000. Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
The Bahamas Telecommunications Company today launched a new customer-centric campaign, bringing its mobile service on par with broadband standards seen in major international markets.
BTC CEO Leon Williams says this fiscal year alone, $65 million will be spent upgrading networks. He noted that with a $26 million investment in its mobile network, BTC is currently addressing coverage and capacity issues. Charisma Robinson has that story.
Ultimately, the mission is to make the Bahamas telecommunications company more customer-centric. BTC launched a new campaign that's all about upgrades as it transforms into a world-class operator. But before they went any further into what these upgrades entail, BTC CEO Leon Williams joined Cable and Wireless CEO Phil Bentley in apologizing to the Bahamian people for the lack of investments and customer centricity over the last few years.
We apologize that we did not make the investments that should have been made over the last few years to upgrade the network. We start a new journey as of July the 1st, and you note that we are now wearing all these upgrade t-shirts, and we're saying we are upgrading this. Everything is about upgrading. We're doing it in the interest of being able to satisfy the Bahamian customer.
Mr. Williams says upgrades to its networks are a result of the recent $65 million network improvement package pronounced by Cable and Wireless through year end.
We want to upgrade the mobile network, to upgrade the broadband network, to upgrade the fixed line network, the enterprise network, as well as to upgrade our customer touch points. And so in the vein of the mobile network, some $26 million is being spent to upgrade the mobile network.
And with that $26 million investment in its mobile network, Williams says the nagging issue of drop calls Bahamians have long complained about has seen major improvements. The company, which experiences about 4 million calls per day, has reduced its drop calls from 70,000 to about 40,000 per day.
BTC has installed 4 brand new cell sites at the R.M. Bailey Park. We are on a mission to refocus the cows and put them in those areas where we still have drop calls, for example, on the airport corridor. If we could do that and win the hearts and minds of the customers and the Bahamian public at large and the government of the Bahamas, that will take care of the competition. But if we focus on the competitor, particularly now when we don't know who the competitor is, to me, that's a futile exercise.
Now, as a part of its campaign, BTC is inviting its more than 40,000 customers with smartphones that are not data ready to upgrade to its 4G network at no cost and select a data plan. Charisma Robinson, ZNS Network News.
Today marked the final day of Miles Munroe International's Global Leadership Conference at the Grand Lucayan Resort in Grand Bahama.
It was a special time for delegates as the families rocked by the tragedy made a personal appearance to renew the vision of the late Dr. Miles Munroe. Here's Joan Davis-Roll.
Show of phenomenal strength as the grieving families emerged during the final hours of the Miles Munroe Global Leadership Conference here on Grand Bahama. It was an awe-inspiring moment, one which caught many by surprise, but one which also resulted in thunderous applause and a standing ovation. Delivering a prepared address during one of the darkest moments of his family's life was son, Chairo Munroe.
I want you all to know that in spite of the recent tragedy that claimed the lives of my parents, Dr. Miles and Ruth Munroe, my uncle, Dr. Richard Pinder, our chief pilot, Captain Stanley Thurston, our first officer, Furkan Cooper, our youth pastors, Lavard and Riddell Parks, their son, Johannan Parks, and their unborn child, and our dear friend, Diego Santiago. We all have comfort in knowing that God is in control.
Munroe says that the sudden passing of members of his immediate family has left more questions than answers. But one thing is for certain, their hope remains in Jesus Christ, and their faith has not been shaken.
I would like to make it known that although we are grieving our losses and are deeply saddened by this tragic event, we have never been, nor will we ever feel, hopeless.
Munroe admonished everyone to dry their tears, put on a garment of praise, because in death there is victory.
We celebrate the life and the legacy of each individual. This tragedy does not mark the end of life, the end of a vision, the end of a journey, nor the end of a purpose, but it marks the new beginning of an era. An era of a new generation that will carry on the vision and the legacy of my father and my mother, and of each individual whose life was lost so unexpectedly. So let's not mourn. Let's not mourn their deaths, but let's celebrate their lives and find joy in knowing that although God may not explain himself, he will reveal himself. In the words of my father, the greatest tragedy in life is not death, but it's a life without a purpose.
Joan Davis-Roll, ZNS Network News.
Well, tonight, the man who can claim responsibility for the devout Christian leader, captivating speaker, and purpose-driven being says he's leaning on his faith as he absorbs the loss of his son, daughter-in-law, and other close friends. Today, we asked Matthias Munroe, the father of Dr. Miles Munroe, how he's been managing since getting the shocking news on Sunday.
I depend on the Lord to take me through situations like this.
Yes.
He's the only one who can do that. And he is taking me through. I've had many difficulties like that before, and he took me through. And he promised never to leave me, nor forsake me. And that's the only way I can make it. Because at my age, you know, I look young, but I'm an old soldier.
Yeah, you do look young.
I know, but I'm an old soldier.
Yeah.
The old soldiers never die.
That's right.
They only fade away. I fade here.
Yeah.
Thank God. He's the one who can keep us going.
Now, Mr. Munroe Sr. says his son wasn't very different from his 10 siblings, but that there was a memorable request from his childhood which spoke to his determination to see his dreams realized.
I remember way back when he wanted to go to high school. And he wanted to go to that school there.
Oral Roberts?
No, not yet. This is the school there on where all the white children go.
Is that Queen's College?
Queen's College.
Okay.
And in those days, and the white children went to Queen's College. And he said he wanted to go to Queen's College. So I said, well, no problem, man. The Lord will take care of it. And I went and made arrangements for him to go to Queen's College. And he was one of the first black person to be in Queen's College. And of course, he was there for 2 years, I think it was.
The BFM family is still trying to come to grips with the loss of lives following Sunday's plane crash that killed 9, including the leaders, Senior Pastor Miles Munroe and his second-in-command, Dr. Richard Pinder. Members of BFM here in the capital are expected to gather at the Diplomat Center on Carmichael Road for a healing prayer service. Pastor Carl Albury says members needing help can avail themselves to some professional counselors.
Information. The College of the Bahamas has offered their professional services for grief counseling, and that will begin tonight at our 7:30 service. And then we will also have Dr. Allen and a Dr. Adley, who will also be part of the segmented group of grief counseling that we will provide not only to the membership, to the staff, but to various age groups, and also to the various bodies that we have ministry to.
Pastor Albury also spoke about Pastor Sheena Pinder and the new role she will play following the death of her husband, sister, and brother-in-law.
She is now the mother to those 4 children. And what I understand is that they have all been together in one room during these last few days. Because Pastor Sheena and Pastor Ruth are sisters. They are very close. And so it is almost very easy for that gravitation of the kids to respond to their Aunt Sheena as their mother at this time.
This portion of the news is brought to you by Shell Ultra Low Sulfur Diesel.